Hey guys, I am in the middle of doing a bunch of garden projects and I want to bring you along and show you some of the things that I'm working on. I apologize if Rocky is making a lot of noise. He is drinking his water right now and I don't have my microphones on. Let's see. I need to rescreen the back patio and I want to show that to you guys. I've been restaining the landscape timbers that frame out our sidewalk from the main garden to the south garden. And so I want to show you how that's coming along. And then let's see here. I need to set up the new rain barrels and I want to show you the rain barrel system that Art put together last year and why I didn't think that would work and why I came up with my system and what we've discovered since that time. So that will probably be an entirely separate video, but I'm going to try to get all of that recorded today. So we'll see how that goes. Right now, I am moving some plants that I was overwintering in the house. I'm moving those out at the moment. Like I did have some bell peppers that I had overwintered in here. So those are out in the garden now. I've got several coleus plants that I'm moving out right at this moment. And then I also want to go back over the seeds that I had started back in March and kind of catch you guys up on that and show you. I've mentioned in a past video that I did my seed starting a little differently this year. And so I want to show you what I did differently, why, and how that worked out for me. So let's get into it. Some of this footage is from March, but I'm really wanting to show you guys because I want to get you caught up on what all we've been doing over the past month. So first, this was the day that I started my seeds, and then here in a little bit, I will show you an update of what those seeds look like now. Of course, some of those have already been potted up and some of them are even out in the garden at this point, but I never did get this posted, so I do want to share kind of how I start my seeds. This is just a very, very fast run through, and I'll show you what seeds we had started on that particular day. I have mentioned in the past that I did my seed starting differently this year. That is because I always wind up with way more seeds than I need. And this year I was trying to be a little bit more efficient with my time and energy. So I decided to only start like 1 or 2 cells per seed that I needed. And then the rest I will direct sow in the garden. Next, I would like to finish out our garden build series of the main garden by showing you what it looked like back in March before we did our cleanup and how it's looking now. You'll notice we took down a lot of those T-posts, and then right here you can see where the fence was busted in multiple areas, and we have since fixed that. I have picked up the wooden pathway that we had going through the backside of the main garden. I have trimmed up the blackberry bushes, which we're going to discuss here in a moment. And of course, this was before we had planted any of our brassicas out. You can see that table there on the gravel, and we have since moved it into the main garden. And then this was during the time that I was cleaning up the landscape timbers that frame out the walkway. See here, you can see that nothing had been planted yet except for the garlic. Now, I did try to capture some footage of myself trimming up our blackberry bushes. I should have waited until I had Art there to help me record, but I got impatient because I really needed to get these trimmed. So it's hard to really tell what was going on, so I'm going to do my best to explain this to you. But the variety that we have is the Prime-Ark Traveler. It was created out of the University of Arkansas, and it actually fruits on the Flora canes and the Primo canes. The Primo canes are the first year canes, and typically those don't produce fruit on a lot of blackberry varieties, but on this variety it does. And that's what I love about this variety. But we do have a full grow guide out on our website, so I will link that in the description. I always find it best to wait until about March to do my pruning because then I can see what branches have new growth on them. And if they do have new growth, I don't touch those. And then it's really easy to distinguish the ones that have no growth, no leaf bud or anything on it. Then I go ahead and cut those off. So this footage was recorded at the end of March, and you can see our Brussels sprouts right there at the bottom of the screen. Wait until you see what they look like now in mid-April. And here we are after the pruning. You can tell that I got all of those dead limbs trimmed off, everything else left there. It has new growth on it. And at this moment, of course, it's been 2 or 3 weeks since that point. I've added in some more bamboo shoots to help stake these up, and I'll show you that in just a moment. But we now have flower buds on all of the blackberries, and it is busy with bee activity right now, so it won't be long before we've got blackberries. Okay, so right here, I want to show you how you can tell your new growth from your old growth. The greener it is, the newer the growth, and the more brown it is, the older it is. So you can see some of these are very green, and that's my primocanes. That means that this is their first year fruiting. The ones that have a little bit more brown on them, those are the floricanes. That means that they fruited last year and they will this year as well. And then right over here in a second, you're going to see my pile of dead limbs. That is everything that I had cut off from previous years, but that's what I cut off today. And then here we are as of April 14th. Look at all those flower buds. It won't be long and we will have some delicious blackberries. I made the best blackberry jam last year and we're already completely out of it. So I'm excited to be able to make some more because all of my family loved it last year. And then I've mentioned in multiple videos in the past how all of our soil levels had dropped so drastically this year. So Art has been bringing out wood from his job site. He does chop down a lot of trees each year, so he's been bringing those out. We've been layering the bottom of our beds with the wood and then just scraping our soil back over the top and then adding compost on top of that. So that has helped a little bit to fill up these beds. Now, I am a little bit disappointed because the second bed that you'll see here in a second, the soil level is so low, and we just topped that up with the mushroom compost this past fall. So I want you to take a look at that here in a second. Also, notice our fence right over there behind me. We've shown this before too, how we needed to power wash it, but recently Art just went ahead and restained the fence, and he's only finished the south garden fence so far. We still have to make it the rest of the way around. Okay, so here we go after we have finished that side. Now, like I said, we did get the other side topped up too, filled with wood and then topped up. And here's a ground cherry volunteer that has sprouted up. Wait till you see it now. I'll pop up a picture of that here in a little bit as well. And I've shown our strawberries since this time, but we have been producing strawberries like crazy. And then there's our garlic. That was the day that we did our newest cattle panel trellis. This time around, we tried something different. Typically, you'll see that we do these archway trellises like this one here. And then, of course, we've got Mama Duck hiding back there behind that one. But this time, we had an extra cattle panel that my parents gave us. So instead of doing the archway, since we've already got 3 of those in the garden in various locations, we decided to cut it in half and just make wide trellis in the center of a bed. And then that gave us an extra 8-foot panel that we're going to put in a different bed. So now in our south garden, we should just call that the trellis garden, because now pretty much every bed in that garden has a trellis aspect to it. Okay, now I want to get back to our terrace garden. You'll see here where I had taken those blackberry canes and chopped them up, because this was another area where we're losing a lot of soil. And that is mainly because the dog next door is constantly attacking the fence and breaking panels And you can tell his owners have shoved concrete blocks from their side. And this time we threw in some landscape timbers and stuff trying to fill in some of those holes, because every time it rains, our soil washes through the fence into their yard. And so it's hard to want to plant anything in this area when we know that we keep losing the soil to the neighbors.
The Terrace Garden, which actually washes out a lot of dirt.
Or it did.
It did. I mean, it still washed. I can see some washout. But anyway, it's on a slope, obviously. And one weekend that I was at work and gone, we used to have timbers here. And Shayla came through here and put these bricks, and he's changed it up quite a bit to help keep the dirt in that confined area. What are we planning here this year?
I am thinking about having you fix me a little bit more of the trellis area and doing some of my tomatoes over here, because last year I started way too many tomato seeds and I wound up plopping them everywhere. And so I've kind of had tomatoes all over this main garden, except for in here. So
We'll try it out.
Because I strictly follow crop rotation, I don't want to plant tomatoes back in any of these other beds. So that's why I'm thinking this is our best bet here.
Right. Yeah, there's just a little bit of erosion still on the backside coming from their yard, actually.
But yeah, it just washes through the fence. Now it's not washing down the hill anymore, at least. It does contain it enough.
We added a lot of dirt, new soil, and some compost also in this area, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and I do have to every year. Let me come get a close-up over here where it's like, and we did try to throw some landscape timbers in there. And you can see where the neighbor dogs are constantly trying to break through, but we know it's not Rocky because he can't get in here. And then we did, these were just the, what do you call those?
The gnomes?
No. I went blank on what those are called.
Oh,
the concrete blocks.
Mm-hmm.
What are they called?
Cinder blocks.
Cinder blocks. Yes, thank you. Yeah, cinder blocks. And then they were very plain looking, so I painted them, and I'm not so sure that I love that, but I did it, and it's working. We had some blue spray paint, just like the blue spray paint on some of the cheapos. So I spray painted those last year, and then used some dark gray spray paint for the tops. And
maybe we'll go with bright green this year. No. Something to go with
And then this over here, we just kind of built this up a little bit more last year. We added another layer of timbers, landscape timbers, just to hold in more, because previously it only had one, and the year before that it only had that plastic landscape edging. So one year we changed it to one landscape timber, then last year we added a second layer, and then we moved my gnome garden up here. So, and as with everything else, we
was this your doing? Is this your doing?
Yes, from when those dogs broke through that one day. But well, there's some weeds in that one. My lilies are coming back up. That's good. What in the world? I think that looks like my blueberry. It's seated over here. Not blueberry, blackberry.
It's it's right on the fence line. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, we moved the gnome garden. Oh, something's in my hair. That thing. Moved the gnome garden up here and just made it more decorative and everything. But just like everything else, we forgot to winterize this. I usually pack my gnomes away at the end of the season, and this was the first year I did not, and they're looking a little rough. They look like they've had an earthquake.
Well, actually, they have.
Yeah, they have.
We've had a couple, actually.
Yes, we have.
And strong winds.
And all kinds of storms and everything. Yeah.
Right. Being in Oklahoma, you can have all 4 seasons in one day.
In one day, that is correct. Okay, so that is our update so far. And now we are back to present day, and you can see here where Art had replaced those fence panels, and look at those Brussels sprouts right there. They are massive compared to how they looked last month. I just love it. I love it when things in the garden really start taking off. It's so fun and exciting. And then you can see my landscape timbers here where I was framing out the walkway. What I did was sand those down this year and just change the color. And then look at how good that fence looks that Art's been staining. Hey guys, that's it for today. Check the description for links to the articles that I mentioned. And the next few videos that we'll be sharing will be my parents' house tour, the garden build series, our DIY rain barrels, and our DIY screened-in patio on a budget. Please let me know which one you want to see first.